For a character known for quick jokes, movie references, and an endless ability to annoy his co-workers, Anthony DiNozzo spent much of NCIS serving as the show's emotional pressure valve. Whenever a case became too grim or a personal tragedy threatened to overwhelm the team, Tony was often the one who cracked a joke, lightened the mood, or reminded viewers that even federal agents needed a reason to smile. That is exactly why one of Tony's darkest episodes remains so unforgettable more than 2 decades later. 21 years after it first aired, the episode doesn't just hold up, it hits even harder than it did the first time. What once felt like a dramatic detour now feels like one of the most important chapters in Tony's entire journey. Looking back with the benefit of hindsight, it becomes clear that the episode wasn't simply telling a tragic story. It was quietly revealing who Tony really was beneath the charm, confidence, and humor. And that's why fans still talk about it today. And the mask finally slips. One of the reasons Tony became such a beloved character was his ability to keep people at arm's length. He was charming without being vulnerable, funny without being serious, and confident without revealing much about what was actually happening inside his head. For years, viewers saw him as the team's clown, but the darkest Tony episode forced that mask to crack. Suddenly, audiences were confronted with a version of DiNozzo that couldn't hide behind sarcasm. The usual movie quotes disappeared, the playful banter faded. What remained was a man struggling with pain, loss, and emotions he had spent years avoiding. The shift was shocking at the time because it felt so different from the Tony viewers thought they knew. Today, however, it feels completely consistent with everything that followed. The episode revealed that Tony's humor wasn't simply a personality trait. It was a defense mechanism. The jokes weren't there because life was easy. They were there because life wasn't. Michael Weatherly delivered one of his best performances. When discussing the greatest performances in NCIS history, conversations often focus on dramatic moments involving Leroy Jethro Gibbs, Ziva David, or Dr. Ducky Mallard. Yet Michael Weatherly's work during Tony's darkest story deserves to be part of that discussion. Without relying on grand speeches or melodramatic breakdowns, Weatherly managed to communicate enormous emotional weight through subtle changes in expression, body language, and silence. That's what makes the performance age so well. Modern television audiences are accustomed to highly emotional scenes where characters openly explain their feelings. Tony's story took a different approach. Much of his pain remained internal. Viewers had to watch closely. A lingering glance, a forced smile, a hesitation before speaking. The performance trusted audiences to understand what Tony wasn't saying. 21 years later, that restraint feels even more powerful. The episode changed how fans viewed Tony forever. Every long-running television character eventually reaches a turning point. For Gibbs, there were numerous moments tied to his family's tragedy. For Ziva, it was her complicated relationship with her father and Mossad. For McGee, it was his transformation from uncertain rookie to confident senior agent. For Tony, this episode represented that turning point. Before it aired, many viewers saw him primarily as comic relief. Afterward, they saw depth. The character suddenly became more complex. His confidence looked different. His insecurities became more visible. Even his relationships with other team members gained new meaning because audiences now understood how much emotional baggage he was carrying. The episode effectively transformed Tony from a fun supporting character into one of the emotional pillars of the series. That's a remarkable achievement for a single hour of television. Knowing Tony's future makes it more painful. The biggest reason the episode lands harder today is simple. Fans now know everything that came after it. When the episode originally aired, viewers were watching Tony's pain in the moment. Now they're watching it with years of additional context. They know about his future heartbreaks. They know about the relationships that will define his life. They know about the losses he will endure. They know about the personal growth he will eventually achieve. That knowledge changes everything. Scenes that once seemed tragic now feel devastating because audiences understand how these experiences shape the man Tony would become. The episode effectively becomes an origin story for many of his later decisions. His emotional walls make more sense. His fears become easier to understand. Even his tendency to joke during serious situations gains new meaning. Instead of seeing a carefree agent, viewers see someone desperately trying to protect himself. NCIS was braver than many crime dramas. Part of what makes the episode so memorable is that it took a significant creative risk. Crime procedurals often focus heavily on weekly cases. Characters develop gradually, but the investigation usually remains the main attraction. NCIS chose a different path. The writers allowed the emotional journey to take center stage. The case mattered, but Tony mattered more. That decision helped separate NCIS from countless other procedural dramas airing at the time. Viewers weren't just solving mysteries, they were investing in people. The Darkest Tony episode exemplified that philosophy perfectly. The story worked because audiences cared deeply about the character at its center. Without that emotional connection, the episode would have been forgettable. Instead, it became iconic. The episode feels more relevant today. Interestingly, the story resonates differently with modern audiences. Television has evolved considerably over the last 2 decades. Discussions surrounding emotional trauma, mental health, grief, and vulnerability have become much more common. Viewed through that lens, Tony's struggles feel surprisingly contemporary. Many viewers now recognize the signs of someone masking pain through humor. They understand emotional avoidance. They recognize self-protective behavior. What once appeared to be simple character quirks now looks like a realistic portrayal of someone carrying unresolved emotional wounds. As a result, younger fans discovering the series for the first time often connect with the episode just as strongly as longtime viewers. In some cases, they connect with it even more. A defining chapter in NCIS history. 21 years later, NCIS has produced hundreds of episodes, introduced countless characters, and delivered more dramatic twists than anyone could easily count. Yet Tony's darkest hour continues to stand apart. Not because it featured the biggest explosion, not because it contained the most shocking twist, not because it changed the fate of the entire team. It remains memorable because it revealed the truth about one of the show's most beloved characters. Behind the jokes was pain. Behind the confidence was vulnerability. Behind the charm was someone struggling to heal. Those revelations transformed Tony DiNozzo from a fan favorite into one of the most layered characters in the franchise's history. And that's why the episode lands twice as hard today. Time hasn't weakened its impact. If anything, the years have made it stronger. With every rewatch, viewers bring more knowledge, more perspective, and a deeper understanding of who Tony ultimately becomes. The result is an episode that feels richer, sadder, and more meaningful than ever before, a rare achievement in television and a testament to why Tony DiNozzo remains one of NCIS'